Hello everyone, I'm Burfy1322 and welcome to another GTA discussion video where I'm going to be answering the question of should you buy an X80 Proto? Now that should be an easy question to answer really, but it isn't. It's quite a loaded question because there's a lot that goes into whether you should buy a vehicle. It's not quite as simple as it has a certain lap time and you should definitely buy it. So the first thing to take into account is that we are getting some new vehicles. One of them is a sports car, but one of them is going to be a supercar. That's the Fiesta 811. Remember that Rockstar released these in such a way to maximise their value and the money that they can make from shark cards by making people buy this car, for example, and then releasing another car a few weeks down the line and making people buy that one as well, rather than just putting them all together. So just from even that standpoint, it's worth just waiting to see what the performance of that car is. Honestly, it doesn't look all that special based on the handling statistics and things like that, but you know, we don't know what it's going to be like, so even just based on that, it's worth waiting and saving your money if you don't have just money to blow on everything. The other point to take into account is that although the X80 Proto got the fastest lap time in my testing, that doesn't necessarily mean to say that it's going to be the fastest in every situation and it's going to be the best for every person. So the first thing to take into account is driving variability in driving standards. The X80 Proto is a very difficult car to drive. It's unlike a lot of the other supercars. It's quite difficult to handle. A lot of people who aren't experienced racers and experienced with driving in the game are going to have trouble with it. People are going to find it difficult to get used to, and for them it may not be the quickest car in the game. And this is always something that I try to get across with testing, is that I'm trying to push the limits of what these cars are capable of in a controlled environment to reduce the amount of variability and to sort of compare cars like for like. It's not going to be the same for every single person. People may prefer different styles of driving, and if people could be, say, 5 seconds off the pace of what I'm doing in my testing, but they are 5 seconds off the pace with a cheetah, whereas they're 7 seconds off the pace in an X80 Proto. You know, as soon as you stop being on that sort of the highest level of racing in GTA, which is only a very small number of people who do that anyway, and I only really consider myself in that area when I'm testing vehicles. It's difficult to sort of justify going directly off something when there's such a small difference in performance, because variability in driving standards and driving capabilities does have an effect. And like I said, the X80 is very, very difficult to drive and very difficult to get the most out of as well. Also with the X80, it's very light, so in collisions, and if you're specifically racing in random races, if you get hit by another car or you have an accident and you hit a pole or something like that, it's going to, you know, fly all over the place. It's very difficult in that respect as well. And it doesn't have the greatest traction in the world. It is very quick in a straight line, it's very quick on acceleration, and obviously, as we've seen, top speed as well, it's very good, but it is lacking in sort of mid-corner speed compared to some of the other supercars. So while that balances the class, it does mean that there are some tracks out there that are going to favour other cars. And this is always the case with my testing. You know, my testing is meant to be a general guide. It's not a be-all and end-all sort of decision about which car to have in every single situation. And that's the beauty of the supercars class in particular, is that it is very, very well balanced. Even though the X80 is 0.6 of a second ahead of the rest of the supercars in my testing, it's very well balanced in that, because of its difficulty to drive and because it's not going to be the quickest on every single type of track. For example, airport tracks, the FMJ is the king. It's very, very good. It's got high traction, high top speed. Airport tracks, the FMJ is the one to have. For hill tracks, sort of in the Vinewood Hills, the T20 is a very good option. But, you know, all I can do is take these cars out on a single track in controlled circumstances and try to compare them like for like. A lot of people often say, you know, sometimes people beat my lap times on PC with higher frame rates, which is, you know, to be expected, because obviously for those who don't know, higher frame rates mean quicker lap times. And some people beat my lap times on the testing by using curb boosts and using various other means, and that's what I want to get across, is that I don't do any of that, because my testing is meant to be controlled. It's meant to reduce the amount of variables so that we're comparing cars like for like, and it's meant to be a general guide of performance. Ultimately, the decision on whether to buy a car is based on you. You should be going and testing out these vehicles yourself. Obviously, if you can't do the upgraded versions, you can find a race, load up a race and test the stock versions and just get a general feel. Not a lot changes in terms of the handling of them. You can always take a few cars out, find out which lap time, which car gives you the best lap time personally, and just go for that one. But I'm narrowing the field down, so you know, you don't have to worry about going and testing a Bullet or a Voltic or an Infernus, for example. You can just focus on a few small number of vehicles at the top of the class and find which is best for you. Obviously, there are some classes that are very different in that respect. For example, the XLS Armoured in the SUVs class, the Shafter V12 Armoured in the sedans class. You know, there are some classes where there is only one car to choose, and obviously I do my best to get that across. But when there's such a small difference in lap time between, say, the top 8 supercars, for example, that means that it's a very well balanced class where different cars are going to have different strengths on a number of tracks, and different cars are going to have different strengths to different driver styles. So ultimately, it's your decision. I'm not trying to say that you should go out and buy an X80 because it got the quickest lap time on my track. I'm saying that, look, this could be quick for you, but do your own testing and figure it out for yourself. I would say that the best comparison I can give is when you compare the X80 to the T20, it's very similar to comparing the Elegy in the sports class to the Jester race car. The Jester race car and the T20 are both slightly slower in certain circumstances than the top cars in the class now, but they are easier to drive. The Jester race car is a lot easier to drive than the Elegy. The T20 is a lot easier to get the most out of than the X80. So, you know, it's always this balancing act, and that's a good thing to have for the game. It's a good thing to have for racing. It's a bad thing when we have, for example, the Sports Classics class where the Sterling GT is completely dominant apart from a track that's all long straights. It's a good thing to have a balance and some indecision about which car to get, because ultimately that means that you can get the car that suits you the most within a certain amount of vehicles. And I would say the top 8 vehicles in the supercars class in a random race you can win with, you can do well with. I mean, in a random race you can really win with anything, but you'll be on the pace until you know, it's only when you get to that very, very top level of racing with very, very competitive people that car differences actually make a significant difference on certain tracks. Ultimately, just below that top level and even further below that, you can use a much wider variety of cars to still do well, as long as you're a competent driver and you can get the most out of that car. Sometimes people ask me to test the cars on different tracks and things like that, and whilst I would like to do that to show a different aspect of it, it's very, very difficult to do, because I've tested more than 350 vehicles now on this same track. It's very, you know, there's no way I can test all of those vehicles on different tracks. I could end up, you know, I could test the top few supercars on different tracks, but then people would ask for the top few sports cars on different tracks and then the top few muscle cars on different tracks. You know, it's impossible to do. The best thing that I can do is focus on the testing that I do, because I know the ins and outs of the track and I know how to test vehicles on there and compare them like for like. The best thing that I can do is just focus on testing all the vehicles there, give a general guide of performance on those testing videos, and ultimately you guys make your own decisions about that. I can't tell you what to buy, I can't tell you what's going to be best for you. I can just give you an indication of performance. Obviously the top speed testing is different. You know, the top speed testing is very accurate and measured scientifically, so that's different entirely. I'm mainly talking about the track testing here and which cars are the best in a racing situation. Now, I will be making a new class specific videos for all of the classes to do with the track testing and the top speed testing once we get these 2 new cars, because obviously we've had a lot of DLC cars come recently, and I think that it's something that people want to see, that the classes updated and organized, because it was quite a while that I did the original class specific videos. And it's pretty much all DLC cars now. So yeah, I will be making those and I'm going to reiterate this point during those videos, that these are just guides, and ultimately when there are cars that are close together, it's your decision, and you've got to make that choice yourself by testing them out yourself. But yeah, I do plan to do that to make it easier for people to see which cars are the best and which cars are off the pace in each class, both in terms of racing and top speed as well. And also, a lot of people sometimes ask me to, are my lap times still accurate? It was quite a while ago that I did some of the lap times. Some of them were on old gen as well. Are they still accurate? Well, I have actually gone back and tested the top lap times for some of the top cars, and there's never really been a change. There's never been a difference. But if there ever was, I would obviously update the lap time and update the footage for that, and that will all come in the new videos. But there never has been so far. So I've gotten very good at being able to test these vehicles now and do it accurately and consistently, so there's no real need to worry about that. The lap times are as accurate as they're going to be based on the conditions and the testing conditions that I impose to minimize variables. A quick note just to finish this video, that's pretty much all I wanted to say about all of that, and hopefully it's been enlightening to a few people, because I don't want people to just look at a lap time, go out and spend their money and waste their money and buy a car based on a single lap time, and it's not the right car for them if they can't handle it or whatever. So hopefully people do see this video, probably not as many as put to testing videos obviously, but hopefully it does help some people save some money and make the right decision about which car to have in the future. But yeah, a quick note just to finish is that I just hit 70,000 subscribers with on the day of the testing videos that came out. So I just want to say a big thank you for that. I do need to figure out what to do for a 70k subscriber video, but I really do appreciate the support, and I hope that my videos are helping people on GTA save some money and choose the cars that are right for them ultimately, and that's all I really want to do. So thank you so much for the support. I really do appreciate it. Obviously, let me know all your thoughts about the X80 Proto and all of the things that I've had to say in this video down below. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.